Hi guys, what's going on? And welcome back to another video on Conqueror's Blade. So, today, Demense Arbalists. So, the last video I did on crossbows, I was perhaps a little negative on them. And it seems to be one of those videos that's kind of absolutely everyone remembers, and anytime anything about crossbows crops up, that video seems to get mentioned. Because I did sort of rather say that they weren't very good, and that I kind of hated them and they sucked. Well, I've been told by quite a few people now that I need to revisit them, and I have been. So I basically unlocked the Demense Arbalists. These are, if we go to the unit tree, it's kind of easier to see where they are. They're here. They're one of the Silver Era units, equivalent to the Prefectures, the Vanguards, or the Mercenary Fire Archers, or Incendiary Archers as they're now called. And I've kind of been trying them out a little bit over the past week or two, trying to get the hang of them a little bit. Obviously, with the experience changes, I only got up to level 8. I mean, even at level 8, it's 117,000 to get to the next level. But yeah, I've been enjoying them. I must admit, a lot better than they were last time. There have been some big changes. Firstly, the unit size has increased massively. When I first bought them, there was a unit size of 18. Now, there's extra 8 people when it's not a massive unit. Anyway, makes a real big difference to the amount of firepower that's going out. It really does make a big difference. On top of that, their accuracy seems to have improved, and their shield break actually seems to be a lot more effective than it ever was before. Because they have this shield breaker's ability. It does actually seem to do decent amounts of damage to enemy shield units. Now, if you shoot at a unit of spear sergeants or something, in a sheltering formation, I seem to land hits in a way that I just don't with, a normal unit of archers. Say, like your fire archers or your prefecture archers, something like that. Just doesn't seem to happen when doing it in the same way. So that does seem to work very well. Now, obviously, you get no volley fires. Fine, you don't with any other archers at this tier, really. It says mediocre accuracy. I've not really found that to be true, because the range on these guys is so short, a whopping 54, that because of that, because it's so short, even if they're pretty inaccurate, if their shots move by, 5 centimeters for every meter forwards, but because they're so close to the enemy, they still don't end up missing, if that makes sense. If they had a range of 100 and crap accuracy, then when shooting at long distance, you'll probably find that the accuracy does drop off. But because these guys have got such short range, it doesn't really matter, because you have to play them pretty aggressively anyway to even be near the enemy units. Obviously, penetration, really high, 1637, along with pretty decent piercing damage at 1669. It's pretty much the same stats there. I've got a one Doctrine on to give me some little bit of increased damage as well, an extra 50 damage, I think. So that's all little bits of helps. They seem to get a lot of critical hits as well, because they're landing plenty of hits and damaging hits, so that always helps. You can sort of be scoring 2000s, things like that. And yeah, I'm finding them to be pretty effective. They're not amazing. They're good. The lack of range can be a problem at times. It means you have to play them pretty aggressive. And with the amount of bow heroes and stuff that there are in the game at the moment, you start to take losses, I find, pretty easily, because you have to be quite a frontline unit unless you're sort of defending a specific point, in which case, so I find that you tend to be on the front line too much, and you soon start getting units plinked off, because they don't have a great deal of health, only 2400 on the health, so they go down pretty fast when they start getting shot at. And that short range means they also can't counter any enemy archers, because invariably almost all enemy range units are actually out of range of you by the time you start shooting at them, so that doesn't help either. So, yeah, all in all, decent, but I find that I tend to take losses, so you have to be pretty aggressive and try and get your damage and get your kills in pretty quickly and accept that they're going to die. Or at least that's how I've found them so far. Anyway, let's hop into a battle with these guys, kind of see how we get on with them. So, for our first battle, we are in on Gorgolia. I've just absolutely hammered on my Imperial Spears in point A, and I just spawned in on my crossbows, and we're at the end of this road, and I spawned in, and look what I run into, I think. Crap, we're in trouble already. I thought this was just going to end up being a really quick fight that was going to go badly, but thankfully we had enough troops here, and then as the crossbows come up, you see the sort of amount of damage they do in quite a short space of time. They start getting a few kills, but then their damage starts to drop off as the range extends. So even though they have quite a short range, I'm finding the more I play them, actually, the closer you are, the better their damage is. And look at the hits you're sort of getting there. Some really nice hits right into this little narrow gap here. You can see the sort of the damage potential when they're getting hits. And they're hitting for sort of 1,000 to 2,000 per hit, depending on the type of unit they're hitting. Obviously, their really high armor penetration makes them kind of effective. They seem to land a lot of criticals compared to other units as well, I found. So they're sort of working quite well in this relatively narrow environment because it's just a, they're coming over a siege tower right in front of me. They're coming from the left, right next to me. So it means that with plenty of friendly troops around to defend, they can apply their damage pretty well. They can't really be picked off by any enemy archers, and because they're close range, they do decent damage. I thought I was going to get trebbed then. I thought I saw some trebs coming in, so I quickly tried to shove my crossbows to the wall to protect them, but it was actually going for somewhere else just nearby. So at the end of that was quite successful. I was quite pleased with that. It looked like we closed this gate, so I know it's going to take them a little bit of a while to push the ram up, or treb it, or make a decision about what they want to do to try and get through it. So I was thinking, right, I've got a bit of time. Let's pull my crossbows back. Let's get them on the supply point. Let's start to get them a little bit more ammo back in them, because they've used perhaps about a third or something like that. I do find them very good for ammo. They don't seem to run out on me. Part of that is because they have quite a decent amount of ammo for how fast they shoot. Part of that is because they're so short range that they're quite vulnerable in combat. And they tend to get killed pretty quickly on most occasions, so they don't get a chance to shoot up all their ammo. But anyway, having said that, I thought, it's still worth filling them up while there's nothing going on. So they got filled up, and I was thinking, right, where are we going to go next? Looked like there was a bit of pressure on B. And I thought, well, it's not too far from this upper wall down to point B, so it might be worth me going up, having a look, seeing if I can station over the wall and get some shots down into B. That's what I was thinking anyway. So I've got my crossbows coming towards me, running up along the wall, and, well, there's not actually that many enemies here, but there's a few people down there starting to come off the siege tower. So try and push them up against the wall so they can get a clear shot, because obviously they don't really arc their shots, they're pretty much like a direct fire, like musket type weapon. So I get them in position, leave them on attack, and you can see they're really not very many of them shoot. You get a few hits in, but a combination of, I don't know if it's just they're getting too close to their maximum range, or it's a case that they're clipping into these castle, what's the word, crenulations, something like that? Castle-y bits, castle things, but it just really didn't seem to work for me. I didn't feel I was getting very much damage out like that. And yeah, so I think it's perhaps a combination of the firing from the walls and the range was a bit too much for them. So yeah, that was kind of a point in their negative. They don't seem to work quite so well on firing from walls down, particularly on Algolia. At one poor surf there, got about nailed by about 20 crossbow bolts. I thought they were going to push through the gate, so I pulled a little bit further back, but I could have actually stayed in position, and I do now reposition them again. I've been tending towards this fairly spaced formation because I find it gives you a little bit more leeway with, a few of them getting picked off the edge, but without losing the whole unit if a hero charges in or something. But of course, it does make them harder to position in narrow gaps and things if you want to try and get in. I was kind of lucky to get out of there alive. Just to hop back over the staircase, and yeah, someone had decided to close the door, which is really rather annoying, and that pretty much spells the end of this quite nice run for my crossbows. I managed to get about 50 kills with them on this, and obviously they haven't really taken any losses, so in this sort of situation they do work really well. Just got to watch out for people closing doors on you. Because, of course, that meant it wasn't just my crossbows that could now no longer shoot on all the enemies coming up that ramp. Also, that we had some friendly archers there as well. Really kind of annoying. But anyway, oh yeah, I ran down that little corridor there to see if anyone would put any ladders up to try and get onto C, but unfortunately they hadn't. And then I made a bit of a valiant last stand, but I get caught by that poleaxe ultimate, and that is game, set, and match for that one. So, on to the next battle. See if we can do a bit better. So, we are on to our second battle now, and back out, obviously, with our crossbows. We are down to the final flag on this siege, and we're under quite a bit of threat. And not long after coming out the spawn, we immediately see a unit of, looks like woodcutters or serfs, and you see the amount of criticals we get into the back there, shooting into them. As you see, we get quite a few kills there, shooting just against lightly armoured units. Obviously, high damage potential, high AP into the back of units like that just results in almost all critical hits, so we're doing a couple of thousand damage per bolt, and of course, it takes a good chunk of them down. Following that, I think, oh yeah, let's start to push up. Things are going well. We can maybe push through here and get round behind them and start to do things there. As you can see, we get a few hero kills. You can see the damaging dropping in, so the sort of hits we're getting here. But then you can see, even though we're really quite close to those enemy range units, the crossbows can just about touch them. But the amount of hits you get are so low at that range. And then look, just by going that bit closer, you watch again, and suddenly we're sort of now in real range, and it really starts to hit properly. That's just one thing I noticed. It says, I think I've got 54, 55 range, something like that. That's not a realistic range. Really, you're like 40 or something, because that last 10-20% of your range limit, your amount of hits and the amount of damage you can do just drops off massively. So, following that, we get unfortunately charged by this unit of squires. I kind of noticed them a little, but I was a bit too slow, so we kind of lost about half our unit to that. And then we start getting clobbered by that unit of archers pushed up as well. I start to get plinked by a ranged hero, but thankfully with a bit of support turns up, and we actually drive the enemies back, or they sort of fall back, and we get out of there. But we've lost sort of about half the unit. But we did do quite a few good kills at the start of the game. But now we're down this unit, and kind of you're thinking, oh damn, it feels like you've wasted them. It kind of feels like you're throwing the game away a little bit. But I mean, even with just under half a unit, these crossbows can still be effective in the right situation. So, first thing, I felt they needed to pull back to the supply point. Mostly because their health is just so chronically low on almost all of them. You know, a stiff breeze and you'll find that these Arbalists will end up dying. So I pull them back to the supply point, get them healing up, resupply them with ammo, and start to think about my next move. Because we've still got 5.5 minutes to try and defend this point, so it's really not going to be a very easy match, considering the enemy still has a good amount of supply, still has a good amount of units in the game. So they heal up. I call them over to me. Oh, and I think, oh, enemy hero just ran past. That's a bit dodgy. And I can see through the building the sort of enemy heroes kicking around here. I didn't realise initially that they were actually engaged in friendly units. And not until I cleared the corner I realised there's some friendlies there. And at this sort of range, these crossbows, where they excel, even with half a unit, close range, open piece of ground. And you see we start to get some really good hits in there. Shooting in the back, so it's a good chunk of its criticals. Doing really good amounts of damage. We just help finish off that unit of squires. Gives us the victory. And we push up slightly, trying to see if we can get a little bit extra damage. But as we're doing that, I noticed the point's getting capped. I think, crap, let's get back. Start to pull the crossbows back down with me. Think about trying to get them set up to get things. Run it over a cannon for some reason, don't know why I do that. And then we get hit with these prefetchers. Really good move by the enemy because it's kind of blocking our reinforcements to the point. I realise I have no choice. I need to go and try and stand on the point to give us any hope of winning here. I block it a little bit, it'll then help some other allies get on. I just get pinned down by about 4 heroes, and unfortunately, I go down. But my crossbows are still alive. If you look in the corner there, you can still see all the hits they're getting against those prefetchers. And they're mostly hitting for sort of 1,000, 1,200, even killing a hero there with the crossbows, even though I'm dead. And you can see the hits still landing in, and the kills still racking up. You know, we're well up to sort of 50 kills or something by this point. And they sort of keep going. And that's why they're quite nice. It's for a little ranged unit. Just plodding away, doing the damage, particularly against shields and stuff like that, because they do hit through shielded units quite well. The enemy makes a bit of a terrible play with its trebuchet and basically trebs themselves. So I nudge my crossbows a bit closer, try and get a bit of a better shot in, because distance really makes a real big distance with these guys. But you can see the enemy unit of fire archers turns up and basically finishes them off. I respawn, thinking, right, quickly get to the point, but I just don't get time to respawn and get back in. And unfortunately, that spells the defeat for this game. But it was kind of a nice fight to the finish. Yeah, so we've got 58 kills, 2 hero kills. Not an amazing game, but that seems to be about as well as they do, for me at least. I think it's because they're really short range. Just means that they're such an aggressive unit that I just get plinked to death by archer heroes, or you know, I get charged by a unit of infantry or something like that. And maybe a bit more micromanagement intensive would make them a little bit better if I was a bit more attentive to them, but I just find them quite hard to score some really big points with. So for me, yes, they're a decent unit. They are a lot better than what they used to be. Vastly superior now. And considering they're only a Silver Era unit, yes, they are a pretty decent unit. But I've never got close. You know, playing my prefetchers, I can get some games. It's not unreasonable to get 100 plus kills. Sometimes 200 plus kills with the prefetcher archers. I don't see that happening with these Demense Arbalists. So for me, they're a decent unit. Very good unit, but they're not an amazing unit. Anyway, that's all I've got for you today. Do let me know what you think about these guys in the comments down below. Do you think I'm still a bit harsh on them? Do you think they're better than I'm giving them credit for? Or do you think I'm being generous? So yeah, be sure to let me know. Subscribe to the channel for a load more Conqueror's Blade content. And thanks for watching, and I shall see you all on the next video.